In the first scene, we see Jack, a young farm boy who lives in the kingdom of Cloyster with his father. A story about giants enthralls Jack, and he requests that his father repeat it before sleeping. We are taken to the narrative realm as his father starts the story. Many years ago, a group of monks discovered magical beings that they thought would bring about a miracle. These colossal beings fell down the beanstalk and wreaked destruction on the planet. The human people suffered terribly when they assaulted and ravaged the fortress route to God. However, to their surprise, these beings developed into something unexpected. A portal to Gantua, the area between heaven and earth inhabited by frightening giants. An ancient king named Eric found a way to conquer the giants one day. He melted one of the giants' hearts and crafted a magical crown, which he used to return them to Gantua, imprisoning them forever. The 5 remaining miraculous beings were buried with him when the monarch died, and the story became a legend. Young Jack is concerned about the idea of the giants regaining control, but his father tells him that it is just a myth and that the giants do not exist. Following the old man's departure, Jack continues to read the novel and discovers that the giants will return to exterminate humankind. On the other side, a queen is reading the same tale to her young princess, Isabelle. She claims that King Eric was genuine and that she was descended from him. In answer, the little girl remembers seeing his tomb. This causes her mother alarm as she learns Isabelle has been walking about. Nonetheless, she remains silent, thinking that Isabelle should be aware of everything before rising to the throne one day. After 10 years, a grown-up Jack now lives with his uncle after the death of his father. He is dispatched to town one day to sell their horse and wagon. When Jack arrives, he is diverted by a theater showing the story of King Eric and the giants. When he sneaks in, he notices a gorgeous girl in the crowd and develops feelings for her. During the concert, a gang of thugs starts harassing the girl, so Jack decides to step in. Despite being hit in the face, he persuades the troublemakers to let go of the girl. A troop of royal guards commanded by Elmont enters just then, causing everyone to kneel. The girl mounts a horse and reveals herself to be Princess Isabelle. Jack comes out after they leave, only to learn that his cart has been stolen. Meanwhile, Lord Roderick and his aide, Wick, are seen walking along a hallway within the palace, discussing his marriage to the princess. During this time, they come upon a monk, but they let him pass. Soon later, Roderick enters his chamber and discovers that the monk has stolen the magic beans. He then instructs the soldiers to close the town gates and seize the monk. Outside, the monk approaches Jack and gives him 10 times the horse of value. However, due to an urgent cash shortage, he offers Jack the magical beans as collateral. He requests that he deliver them to the monastery in return for a large quantity of money. The monk snatches Jack's horse and flees, cautioning him not to get the beans wet. King Branwell escorts Princess Isabelle back to the castle, chastising her for leaving the palace without an escort. She attempts to persuade him that she is not a baby and that she is free to move about, but he isn't convinced. Instead, he announces that she will marry Roderick shortly. Hearing this, the princess becomes agitated and immediately exits the room. Meanwhile, Jack returns to his uncle, who is furious with him for trading the horse for beans. He hurls the beans furiously and chastises Jack for his lack of responsibility, asking him to behave more maturely. Princess Isabelle ignores her father's instructions and slips out of the castle later that night. She finds refuge in a neighboring farmhouse when she becomes trapped in a violent downpour. It turns out to be Jack's by chance. Back at the palace, Roderick and Wick apprehended the monk and questioned him about the magical beans, but he refused to answer any questions. This enraged Roderick, so he slashed the mink's neck with his sword. As the rain falls, one of the beans under Jack's home becomes wet. Isabelle and Jack have a short talk in which she expresses her appreciation for his previous intervention. She says she's seeking an adventure when he asks what she's running away from. Jack then hands her his storybook, hoping she may discover what she is searching for. When the house starts to shake violently, their chat is cut short. A gigantic beanstalk erupts through the floor and climbs swiftly into the sky, carrying the farmhouse with it. Isabelle is trapped inside the home as Jack is thrown out. Jack jumps up quickly and clings to the house. As it rises more, he loses his hold and falls, grabbing only Isabelle's bracelet. The following morning, King Bromwell awakens him and inquires as to why he is wearing his daughter's jewelry. Jack then details the occurrence, leading the monarch to send his warriors to retrieve his daughter. Following that, Jack, Roderick, and Wick volunteer to join the king's knights, headed by Elmont and his deputy, Crawl. They begin a persistent climb of the beanstalk, mounting it day and night. When they reach a specific height, Roderick, who has a hidden objective, covertly directs Wick to cut the rope, causing the guards to fall to their deaths. The next day, they reach the summit and find the kingdom of the giants. Before continuing, Roderick and Wick stop Jack and forcefully take the remaining beans from him. However, the child can conceal one bean for himself. They stumble and encounter Isabelle's footsteps and the book Jack had previously given her as they continue their quest. At this time, they divide into two groups, one with Jack, Elmont, and Crawl, and another with Roderick, Wick, and a guard. Elmont's gang subsequently stumbles upon a herd of sheep and chooses to shoot one for their lunch. Unbeknownst to them, there is a trap, and Jack and Craw are taken. They manage to get away, but they soon hear someone coming. Elmont and Craw seek refuge behind a boulder and a tree, respectively, sensing impending danger, while Jack hides underwater. Soon later, a massive figure comes and locates Crawl. He attempts to flee, but the monster catches up with him in a few hops. Elmont rushes to his help as it prepares to devour him, but he is also caught. After that, the monster carries them away, and Jack follows. Meanwhile, the other party approaches the cliff's brink. Roderick fools the guard and pushes him down the cliff. At this point, Wick is devoured by another massive a moment later. Roderick saves himself by taking off the magical crown just before the beast strikes. In the next scene, Jack chases the giants to their castle, where Fallon, the two-headed giant commander, has imprisoned Isabelle. It inquires about how she came to be there, but she does not respond. Elmont and Craw will soon be brought there as well. Fallon interrogates them, and the giants consume Craw when he gets combative. After a while, Roderick appears wearing the crown, compelling all the giants to bow before their might. Instead of rescuing Isabelle and Elmont, he ascends to the throne and announces himself as the new leader of the giants. He then commands the giants to be his army and to conquer the globe, beginning with the kingdom of Cloyster. Meanwhile, Jack hides from the giants and ultimately finds Isabelle and Elmont, who are about to be devoured. While the giant's back is turned, he offers Elmont a knife, enabling him to free himself. The behemoth then snatches Isabelle and proceeds to slice her up. But, just in time, Jack grabs a kitchen knife, leaps upon its back, and stabs it to death. Following that, the trio departs. On the trip, Jack treats Isabelle's wounds with natural medicine, helping her feel better. They quickly approach the edge, where they discover a sleeping monster. Jack swiftly devises a plan. He swats a swarm of bees in the giant's face and flees to hide. The giant grows upset, loses his equilibrium, and falls down the cliff a few seconds later. Even though the danger has been eliminated, Elmont chooses to remain, underscoring his desire to collect the magical crown from Roderick. As a consequence, Jack and Isabel wave goodbye to him and go down the beanstalk. The king and the townspeople observe the dead giant's corpse at the foot of the beanstalk. Fearing that the fairy tale may come true, the king instructs his warriors to chop down the beanstalk, sacrificing his daughter's life for the benefit of the realm. As darkness comes, Jack and Isabel take a moment to gaze down from the heights in their realm. The mood quickly becomes passionate, and the two end up kissing. Unbeknownst to them, the process of bringing the beanstalk down has already begun. The following morning, an army of giants commanded by Roderick arrives at Gantua. When Elmont notices this, he attacks them, resulting in a fight between the two. Roderick accidentally spills the remaining beans during their brawl. At one point during the struggle, he shoves Elmont over the brink, almost knocking him down. Regardless, Elmont manages to seize Roderick's sword and stab him to death. However, in an unforeseen turn of events, Fallon seizes Roderick's corpse and rescues the crown. He then wears it as a ring and proclaims himself the new Colossal King. On the other hand, the king's men successfully chopped off the beanstalk, causing a strong earthquake. Jack and Isabel sense it and understand they're going to collapse. Elmont leaps off and reaches the stalk barely in time as a massive bolt of the stalk hurtles down. Meanwhile, Jack requests that Isabel hold him closely as he takes a rope and swings down like Tarzan. The duel ends in a field, and Elmont manages to leap into the water, rescuing themselves. Following this, the monarch is overjoyed to have his daughter safely restored. Isabel tells him of Roderick's deceit, causing the king to apologize for his error. In addition, she introduces him to Jack, the hero who saved her life. The king then praises Jack, admitting that no amount of appreciation can adequately compensate for his brave actions. Isabel then travels back to the castle with her father. However, it turns out that the danger has not yet been eliminated. Fallon locates the remaining beans and drops them into the water, causing them to sprout immediately. The giants then climb up on the beanstalks and descend. When Jack spots them approaching, he runs to notify the king. However, the giants descend on the base and begin their hunt barely a few minutes later. They start slaughtering the king's troops one by one. Meanwhile, Elmont prepares the soldiers for combat in the palace, preparing fortifications such as hot oil and archers. As soon as the survivors arrive at the palace, the guards, led by Elmont, light the oil. They raise the drawbridge simultaneously to keep the giants at bay. Elmont hits Fallon with the arrows, throwing him into the flames. Despite this, Fallon survives by swimming underwater. The remaining giants are now preparing to lower the drawbridge with enormous hooks. While the guards attempt to hold the bridge, the king orders Jack and his daughter to report to his room and notify the other nations. Isabel then guides Jack along a route that takes him past King Eric's tomb. When they enter the room, they notice a tremor coming from underneath. Soon after, Fallon appears from the floor, leading the two to flee. Outside, the soldiers, including Elmont, battle to keep the bridge in place as the giants toss flaming branches and other things, weakening their fortifications. On the other hand, the pursuit is stopped short when Fallon snatches Isabel after busting through the wall. Jack takes an axe and leaps at the monster to save her, but he is also grabbed. Fallon is ready to consume him when Jack puts the final bean into the creature's mouth at the last second. They immediately begin to develop in his gut and tear his body apart. As a consequence, Fallon's magical crown-wielding hand falls to the ground. Meanwhile, the other giants demolish the drawbridge and enter. They march towards the humans, But before they can hurt them, they willingly put down their weapons and kneel. It's due to Jack, who strides out wearing the crown and takes command of the situation. The picture then jumps forward many years to show Jack and Isabel, now married, reading the concluding section of the narrative to their children. The youngsters inquire about the whereabouts of the crown, to which Jack answers that it is secure. Over time, the magical crown is transformed into St. Edward's crown and placed in the Tower of London.